anyway, I had to go to county lockup 30 days, and I got out, and my friends, like any good military friend should do, said, "You want to like pay rent or get food? No, let's throw a party and invite whores and have a gangbang."
Hey, welcome back to Four for the Road, everybody. I'm your host, Punk Rock, and we got Silent One Percenter, and we got Andar with us today. And we're not entirely sure. Like, do we have a direction, Dave? Do we know exactly where we're
We
going?
have
I
an
know
outline.
we
We
have
have an
like an
outline.
outline, right? Yeah. So explain to us what's our outline today.
So, we got a couple of topics that we thought about, that might be good since we can pick Silence Brain, who, coming from everybody knows, a large international club. He's also, for those that don't know, somebody that's held multiple officer positions at a chapter and a state and a national level. So I think, that gives a good insight, because I think one of the topics that we see that's most popular on the page or gets a lot of feedback and input is leadership and officer positions and the pros and the cons and the how people think that it's abused, how they think it's done the right way, how they think certain officer positions interact and intertwine. So I think having the knowledge of somebody like Silent is going to be good for people that are interested in that stuff, and then we'll go on to a couple other things from there.
Right on.
So I mean, yeah. So I guess it's kind of broad. When we talked about this, we were like, what is the mindset of somebody holding an officer position? So one of the things that I thought of that we could start with was like, the very first, and it doesn't have to be necessarily with a 1% club, but kind of the very first position that you held as an officer. Like when you first got that position, what were some of the things that kind of went through your mind? Like, I think you run from like, oh shit, I don't want to do this to I hope I do it right. And then kind of what was your thinking?
I came in full of God damn it. My dog's gonna bark loud as hell. My wife just pulled in, so they're gonna start fucking barking.
So just so y'all know, national officers of large national motorcycle clubs also own ankle dogs. So there you go.
Yes, we do. So the mindset, when I came in, I was full of, as everybody is. You have, you aspire to obtain something for so long, and the adrenaline hits you. The first position that I had was secretary treasurer position, which could be taken good and bad. I tried to look at it in a good way. A lot of people take it in a bad way because they see it as basically it's strictly administrative. You're a secretary. You normally when you think secretary, you think of a woman sitting behind a desk. That's like the dictionary type scene that you see. But it's actually one of the most prestigious positions, is what I've learned, because you are in the know of everything. Whether you are sitting in church at the chapter level, whether you're in sidebars, you're in regional meetings, you're in national meetings, you are privy to everything that is happening, both on the internal working side, but also the protocol side. So you have this wealth of knowledge being thrown at you, and you have the opportunity to grab that and learn from it. Where some people shy away from it because they think that stereotypical pencil pushing type position.
Now, in your kind of like in being in different MCs and stuff like that, and as you progressed, did you notice a difference between maybe some of your duties or how you conducted yourself as a secretary treasurer in a smaller club versus when you got to a larger nation? Were there things that you noticed that were transferred over that were completely different?
I don't know. Fuck, it's been so long now.
I think that's like and from your insight, like it seems like that's probably one of the most, like you said, prestigious but also demanding positions. I mean, obviously the leadership position of a president or the duties of a sergeant at arms and stuff like that speak for themselves, but for the secretary treasurer, like you said, kind of the basics that everybody knows about, the minutes, the dues, maybe inventory of items, support items that you're selling and funds coming in from that. Like, those are things that, like, if a leader makes a decision, sometimes that can be a feeling, a gut reaction. That can be maybe something that some members are for, some are against. But as a secretary treasurer, your books are either correct or they're not, and they're open to everybody. And they should be open to everybody to ask to see them at any time. So I really think there's a lot of pressure that comes with that position.
Yeah, well, there's a tremendous amount of pressure that comes with it, and it's very meticulous. It's every time you sit down for a vote, and it doesn't matter what level you're at, whether you're at chapter level, regional level, national level. What your record keeping skills has to be on point. Because when they come back 6 months from now and they say, hey, what did we say about whatever the topic is, your shit better pretty much be on point. So what you have to say dictates how that topic continues from there, if that makes sense. And then of course the money, like you said, money is paramount to any club existing and continuing to exist. Whether it be fundraisers or your chapter dues or donations, however you want to look at it, it's, I hate to compare it to a business, but it is like a business. You have to have operating expenses that allow for parties, that allow for movement, movement of the officers, for everything. We all have needs, regardless of what level you are, whether you're a religious club, you're a veterans club, you're a 1% club. It requires finances to do everything that we do. And yeah, you're scrutinized because you are the keeper of that money. So yeah, it's a very stressful position.
So, like we talked about, so your first kind of position in one of your first clubs was as a secretary treasurer. What was kind of your next leadership role after that, or officer role after that?
My next one was a president.
Okay, and at this point now you're still kind of in a smaller club. What was it like, kind of leading a chapter of a club that maybe multiple chapters, but certainly not an international club like you belong to now?
Yeah, let me back up. My next move was the vice president.
Okay.
I hit vice president. It was only for probably about 6 months, and then I ended up leaving that organization to pursue my time with the club that I have now, that I'm in now.
Okay.
So and that one, that position, they ran it different. There's some organizations that the VP does all the work and the president kind of sits on the throne, and gives an agenda on where he wants the club to go or the chapter to go. And then the VP actually pushes the chapter that direction. It was at chapter level, right? It wasn't a regional or a national position. But that's pretty much how that worked. Was the chapter president decided this is what we want to do, this is what we want to accomplish, and as the VP, you take the chapter that direction and you make it happen.
You're basically like you're the first sergeant.
Basically, yeah. You handle day-to-day operations.
Yeah,
that's how it works. Now there's other clubs that it doesn't work that way. The chapter president, he makes all the decisions, and the VP is more or less just a figurehead or a position that's just filled. Whether we want to admit it or not, it happens everywhere.
Now, without putting you on the spot, is there kind of like a preference that you find works better? Is it kind of a blending of the different styles? Like what's your take on that?
It really depends on your cabinet. That's really what it falls on. There's chapters, there's clubs that the chapter president is elected and everybody else is appointed from the president himself. And then there's other clubs that the way they work it is everybody's elected. So I think it depends on the situation that you're in, will dictate if it's easier or not. If And this is the reason why I say I know we had this discussion behind the scenes on the chat. The if the president is elected, okay, he picks and he picks his cabinet, then he's going to pick who's going to make him the most successful, right? I mean, that's only common sense. You're not gonna pick a cabinet and go, man, I'm going to pick these guys because in a year or two they'll vote my ass out and I don't have to be the president anymore because everything's going to be fucked up. That's never the goal of the president. You're going to pick a cabinet that's going to make you the most successful. So, in saying that, that president can usually sit back a little bit, explain to his cabinet what his yearly agendas are, or semi-quarterly, or however you want to break it down. These are my agendas. This is the direction I want to go, and let them push for you, right? Because you've actually appointed them, and they're supporting what you need done, right? Now, when you do the electoral process of everybody is elected, sometimes you fuck up and you get the buddy system elections, okay? And you say, well, man, I really like Andar and he would be a good officer, and I think he should be the secretary treasurer. And what they don't understand is, Andar can't read and write, and he just filed bankruptcy last year. Okay, so now
I didn't file bankruptcy, but I can't read and write. My credit's good, but I can't read.
That's hypothetical, of course, but that's what happens. You go by the buddy system, and now you have a secretary who can't take minutes, right? Can't write down the minutes, so you have no historical, factual data of anything that you've discussed in any of these meetings. Right? Because he hasn't written shit down because he can't write. And you're giving him your dues every month. And the guy filed bankruptcy. So now you got to question, where the hell is your money at? When you go and say, hey, we need to buy a new beer cooler that costs, $3,000. And he says, well, we don't have the money in the bank, but you haven't bought that for 2 years. Did he take the money to use it to pay his bills? It creates issues. But more than anything is the buddy system. And a lot of times when you put a guy in there simply for the fact that he's your buddy, it fucks up the whole system. You have a guy that may not agree with the president, so they're constantly battling each other. Every church, the milestones are not being met, agendas are not being met. And it creates a lot of issues. So based on those two, I would say, again, it depends on the kind of chapter you're in, the kind of system you want. If the president elects or appoints his own people, then I would definitely go with the VP is a great position to have, and the presidency is a great position to have.
What's one of the main things you noticed in going from a chapter officer position to a national, or even state, regional, whatever you want to jump to? What was some of the things that you noticed once you left that chapter level of responsibility?
You go from dealing with bullshit from 10 guys to bullshit to a lot more. That's one thing, being on a chapter level is entirely a lot easier. It's an entirely different experience. And also the stuff that you deal with on a national level is a lot more serious than a chapter level. And for the simple fact that if it got to the national level, that means it's already went through several steps before it got there, and it couldn't be fixed. Internally, we're speaking about right now. Internally, because that means you couldn't figure it out and fix it at the chapter level, and then you couldn't figure it out at the regional level, and now all of a sudden national has to deal with it. So that's never a good thing. If it's that difficult, then it's going to be difficult to figure out.
What about interacting, politicking, keeping up relations with other clubs when you are leading a chapter in kind of your area versus when you're leading or on that officer board of a national club? Is there any kind of takeaways, differences, things you got from that?
Just the level, when you're at a chapter level, you tend to deal with chapter presidents from other clubs, or even the membership, whether it's a VP or whatever. And then of course, as you progress up, you're no longer dealing with the chapter level president, you're dealing with a national president now. So they kind of mirror each other, going from chapter to regional to national. The politicking, at chapter level, your main concern was always my chapter. I'm doing what's best for my chapter. I'm doing what's best for my chapter. And then as you move up the ranks, you realize it's not really about your chapter anymore. Now it's about the nation. What's best for the nation as a whole. It may not be best for one chapter, but if all the other chapters, is better for all of them, then, I'm sorry, but, this is the direction that we need to go. So
my question for you is, I know I'm sure there's plenty of readers out there that are getting ready to have like their election season come up, or they're already in it and people are already starting to kind of campaign. What kind of characteristics and kind of like a mindset do you look for in a leader? Like if you're nominating somebody, or if you're getting ready to appoint somebody, what kind of characteristics do you look for in that man?
And you don't have to have a title to be a leader. That's my personal opinion. That type of leadership shows throughout the year for people, and that, to me, that's what makes my decision when it comes time for elections. Is what kind of leader were you 12 months ago? What kind of brother were you 12 months ago? I don't care about the last 30 days, because everybody can be fucking great for 30 days and politic and sell themselves. It's, let's go back to where elections weren't even in our future. How were you conducting yourself? How were you handling yourself? That's what I look at. I go by silent, and I'm not always quiet, but I'm very fucking observant. Very observant. And I watch how you conduct yourself all the time. Every party we go to, and every event I go to, and every meeting I go to, people will tell you that. I'm very fucking observant. I know what's happening. So
hey, I got a question for Ken. Like, so when you were in a smaller club, one chapter, right? Like it was a local club type thing.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a disrespect. I'm just trying to give people kind of an idea of the size. So you're basically in someone else's pond, because usually in a region or in an area you're going to have a dominant, or maybe one or two dominants, whatever the case may be. So you're kind of playing in someone else's territory, backyard, etc., and you have to get along. So for a smaller club, what were some of the dynamics that you kind of looked at, dealt with, that might have been different for an officer in a club that's smaller versus somebody that's a dominant club like Silencing?
Realistically, San Diego is kind of a bad example for this, I think, because
there goes half our listenership.
yeah.
Well, I mean, hey, that's fine, fuck them. But hike engine, but no, because there's like 7 or 8 fucking 1% clubs that I could just name off the top of my head. I'm sure there's more if I did some thinking.
So who really rules San Diego? No, I'm kidding. Don't answer.
Well, that would be the infamous no. But no, it really, like in that kind of setting, it really just comes down to people. You want people in that position that understand and practice protocol, that are respectful in and out of their cut, let alone in somebody's house and out in public. That to me, that's just kind of the guy that I want in a leadership position there, because I know that individual isn't going, if he's the face of our club, he's not going to get us into some trouble. And if something does happen, he's going to be the guy that does his best to rectify the situation rather than just make it worse or unintentionally make it worse. Because this life we live, I believe if you have, honesty and respect are 2 of your defining characteristics, I don't see anybody having any issues ever. So that's the kind of guy that I want to lead my club.
So like for you, Silent, like coming from a dominant or being in a dominant club, like are you concerned at an officer level, even I guess as a membership level, like with just your club, or are you considering the smaller clubs operating in your area? Like I don't want to say their feelings, but so like maybe for somebody in a smaller club like Ken in an area like San Diego where there's multiple 1% clubs, things like that, you got to keep different people happy, different egos happy, things like that. Some people might think that in a dominant club that they're just like, fuck it, they're below us, it doesn't matter. But I don't know if that's necessary. I feel like from talking to you, that's not necessarily true. I think like it sounds like you guys kind of give thought to the club below you and things like that. Is that accurate?
Yeah, we do. And I think that's what, to me, I think that's one of the major defining things about brotherhood, because I do know quite a few dominants, a couple of dominants, I should say, that they have that same mentality that who gives a fuck, they're not in our club, they're a support club, or they're a motorcycle ministry, or they're a veterans club, they're a dime a dozen. They don't understand that those guys may be in that club as a stepping stone. They may be green and said, hey, I'm going to do this until I'm ready to move up to that next level. And how you're dogging those fucking guys out, that's what stops them from coming to you. So when you lose your clubhouse and you lose everything you have because you don't have supporters because you treat them like shit, well, you only have yourself to blame. But it is the club thing. I also, I'm a little bit different. Y'all know me for years now. I like to educate. You can never step up to a 1% club, and I'm cool with that. I have no issues with that. But be educated where you're at. Know protocol, know how things work. I think I look at the 1% clubs as educators, more or less. You're supposed to be the professionals in the MC world. You're the highest person on that totem pole. Well, that's like saying that you're in a classroom. That's who that teacher is up front. That's the professional. That's the highest person in that classroom. And that person's job is to educate those around them. So I don't see how dogging people out, and sometimes it happens. Sometimes it happens. But I think there's a way to educate, and it doesn't need to be physical all the time. Sometimes people require physical education, but sometimes verbal education works just as good, if not better, really. When you start putting people on a defensive, we're all grown men. Some are alphas and some are not. But when you put men on the defensive, they stop listening. When you start yelling, people stop listening. I don't know if you notice that. I know I do. And when I was in the Army, somebody started yelling at me. I'm thinking about something else at that point. Anything you got to say to me is going in one ear and out the other. I ain't learning shit. So I've tried to carry that into my everyday life, whether it be at work and whether it be the club. You treat people with respect, you get respect.
And I know, like Ken, we were talking about like as an officer leading your smaller club and interacting on the scene and stuff like that. But as an officer, even as a member of that smaller club, you probably remember which large clubs you had positive interactions with and which ones kind of left a sour taste in your mouth. And I think that piggybacks right off of what Silent was saying. Like people remember that shitty interaction, like especially in an area like where you came from.
Absolutely. And there's one, I'm not going to give details or anything like that, but there was one where we actually, we did have a negative kind of meeting, really. We never really encountered this club before. There was some stuff happened, perceived disrespect to the 1%ers that were involved in this. But luckily, the leadership at the time had the knowledge to reach out and say, hey, look, we were in the wrong. And we were, right? My club, we were in the wrong. Say, hey, we were in the wrong. I would like to come to you and formally apologize. And they say, okay, cool. And they laid out stuff that says, hey, look, like we kind of want like these boxes to be checked for us to consider you good with us. And then that's actually where I met a man that I consider my mentor. I still talk to him today. I talk to him, almost, maybe not every day, but at least every week, because of that bond, because of how he handled that situation and how he was so willing to open up his mind to us and educate us and saying, hey, look, man, like I know you're a small club and I know you think that this is okay because you're a small club, but protocol doesn't say, well, this is 1% protocol and this is 99 on a national and this is like a small time club. Protocol doesn't do that. Protocol is protocol.
Yep.
And that's given us lasting bonds.
Good.
So I mean, we kind of covered some of the officer positions, and then we kind of got off topic like we do. We had a couple other questions too that we can move into. But first, is there anything anybody wants to kind of wrap up on the what a good officer is, what a good officer, what you consider a good officer when you're part of the membership, anything like that?
I think a hallmark of a good officer is having a servant's heart. That when you are either an elected or an appointed official, you remember that the pyramid is not as we believe it is, that it's upside down. Is that your membership's needs are what comes first and your wants come later.
And there's a couple of things I want to talk about on that too is when you decide you're ready to be an officer within, your nation, but be it chapter, regional, whatever, I'm just going to say nation as a whole, to encompass all of it. Ensure that that's what you're ready for. It doesn't matter what position you take, whether you're a road captain, especially down here in the South. I'm in Florida. We ride year round. Whether you're a road captain, you're an enforcer, you're a secretary, treasurer, VP, it doesn't matter what position you're in. Understand that it comes with a tremendous commitment. This is it's not a part-time job where you can say, well, it's Friday night and I don't want to answer my phone tonight, or I'm doing this or I'm doing that, and you put your phone on silent. It's an everyday commitment, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So don't take that position and just for the sake of having a title. It's not about the title, it's about serving the table. But same thing punk rock said, serving the needs, whether it be chapter, region, nation. And the other one is when you are an officer and you're no longer an officer, be it you step down, be it you just chose not to run again, or you got removed from office, don't be that dickhead that challenges every officer behind you. That you can do the job better. You've done the job. You know what I mean? You had your time in that position. Now sit the fuck back and let somebody else do that position. Now, as a whole, yes, we want to better somebody in every position that we're in, to include me, but don't criticize every decision that they make. They have to grow as well. So, a lot of people, they've been in leadership positions, and when they're no longer in it, they want to tell the guy that's now in that position how to do his fucking job all the time. That's kind of a pet peeve of mine. So,
I think that's a good spot to close that one out on. So one of the other ones that we had was patching in new chapters. And I guess this probably isn't something that Ken and I have a whole lot of. We're not in national clubs, but when you're looking at, hey, does this chapter or does this pre-existing club or does this group of dudes that we've been hanging out with that are in this area, when you're thinking about they might be a fit for your nation, what are some things that you're what kind of criteria, I guess, are you using to judge them on?
Man, is this to me?
Ken and I don't shit all about it.
It's a multifaceted question because it really depends on how you're trying to expand. Are you expanding with 5 guys off the street? Are you expanding by doing a patch over with another club? How are you expanding? So look, we'll look at another club, for example. Okay. I don't think it's any secret. It's all over fucking Instagram. It's on Facebook. We recently have what we call, our verbiage is called a patch over, but it's truly not technically a patch over because they don't get a full set of patches. It's not a club secret.
And I like what you said, and when we saw that they still earn their place. They are a motorcycle club that's being looked at as possibly being brought into the fold, but they're still earning their place. They've obviously done enough to earn the respect of your nation and that opportunity. But I think you mentioned something when somebody saw it, that they still have, I don't want to misspeak and call it prospect or probate steps, but they still have steps that they have to go through to fully earn that patch.
Right. And some clubs don't do that. Some clubs, when they want to expand into a new area, start a new chapter, they'll go to a club like, say, Punk Rocks, his former club. They'll go to him and they'll say, hey, we want to move into San Diego, which I'm using San Diego as an example because that's where you were, even though what I'm going to say it'd probably be next to impossible to do. But hey, we want to move into San Diego, so we want to offer you our patch. You have 10 guys, and they'll sit down, they'll discuss, whatever they need to discuss, and boom, now you got 10 new full patches of that guy's club in San Diego. Well, they don't know anything about your history. They don't know any of your traditions. You've got other guys that have probated for years, 2 years, 3 years to earn that patch. These guys just got given a patch simply because somebody in your nation wanted to move into San Diego, so they didn't earn your patch at all, but they're wearing the same thing on their back as you are and have the same voice that you have.
Is there anything, in your opinion, I'm sure different people could weigh in, but is there a way for them to still earn that if you are somebody, you said, if you're somebody that probated for a year, 2 years, you may have a grudge against that. Is there a way for them to still prove that they are about the brotherhood, that they deserve to have that patch that they got? Is it because of the club that they were previously? Is there something they can do in the process to kind of like ease people's concerns? Is that possible, or for even for your opinion, that's just not possible?
Yeah, if you're asking my opinion, no, it's not possible.
Okay.
And I say that because we don't operate that way. It's not a belief that I have. And other clubs may feel different. Other guys are going to have different answers. But you want my opinion? No, yeah. You can't trade 3 years of probating for a territory.
What I mean? How bad was that guy that he had to probate for 3 years?
Happens all the time. Now, when you want to talk about starting a chapter up with other guys, I've seen it to where hey, you're a supporter of the club, or you have several supporters of the club. They all live in the same general geographic location that there's not a chapter at. That comes with a lot of decision making process because you have 5 guys, 10 guys, or whatever. But again, referring back to that same model is the business model. You currently have 5 or 10 guys or whatever interested, but can you grow from there? So you can say, hey, I got 5 guys, and you probate them and you put a patch on them, but are you able to grow from that point? And that's what the club has to do, is they have to actually invest their time to go to that area and see, are we going to be able to grow, or are we going to just have these 5 guys until they fizzle out, pass away or quit or whatever, And
I think that's a great point that other people in different clubs might say something else, but what we have silent 1%ers opinion, which is fucking a wealth of knowledge. It's been tried and true. So I think it's a great opinion for people to listen to. But again, your kind of experience opinion, is it easier for a nation to grow getting those 5 to 10 guys that are independent, or is it easier for a nation to grow bringing in an existing club and letting them and having them earn the patch that way? Like, is there one that's more preferred than the other when you're expanding?
That's a really tough decision, because you really have to look at what it is you're getting when you're patching in another club. What knowledge do they already have? What protocol do they know? How long have they been a club? What is the quality of their brotherhood, of their membership? Those are things that if you are trying to do a patch over and it takes less than a year, then you got a problem. Really 2 years. If it takes less than 2 years to patch over another club, you're probably going to have some trouble on your hands because you really don't know what you're getting. And the reason why I say 2 years, I mean, if you're hanging out with them for a year and getting to know them, it should take them at least another year to become a full member. And then the 5 or 10 guys, those are usually pretty successful for the simple fact that you already had a tight knit group of guys. They're obviously all green, right? Or they would already be in another club, or maybe have a little bit of club experience where you can teach them your way of life, your rules, your histories, traditions, that type of stuff. Those are pretty successful for the most part. Again, depending on the geographical location. If you are in the middle of bumfucked Egypt, those might be the only 5 guys with a Harley within 300 square miles. So your chances of growth might be slim to none. So you have to look at that. Yeah, we're starting a chapter here, but are we going to be able to expand from those 5 guys? And the answer may be no. So then you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Is it worth just saying, hey, we have a chapter in bumfucked Egypt, or do you really have brotherhood in bumfucked Egypt?
Now, without giving away trade secrets, obviously, from your perspective, what are you looking for? What kind of benchmarks do those, either the club coming over or the guys coming over, what do they have to show you to be like, hey man, these guys have potential, or to progress?
I don't want to see anything different than what I would see with a local guy. If I have to travel to them and they're not willing to travel 6 states to come and see me, I don't want nothing to do with you. Fuck it, 6 states, who cares? We're not in the lifestyle that we're not going to leave our little hometown. So getting away from where you are to come and see those that have already earned it, that's a huge thing for me. We got a Connecticut, or a chapter in Connecticut, that those fucking guys were everywhere all the time. I mean, I'm in Florida and I constantly was seeing Connecticut rockers. And I'm like, holy shit, they're down here on their bikes and they're riding and they're visiting and they're meeting people.
Yeah, because it's fucking cold in Connecticut.
Yes. And the roads suck in Connecticut. But we have some amazing fucking brothers in Connecticut. And they did it right, and they truly earned it, and they showed exactly what we're talking about right now. When you say starting in other states, that was a group of guys that we patched over from the Phantom Lords, and I think it took 3 years to get that deal done. So these guys that are patching clubs over, fucking, Friday night they talk to somebody, and then Monday morning their patches are in the mail. Those are the guys that don't last. They got problems. They're doing it for the money, not the lifestyle or the brotherhood.
Hey, Ken, coming, obviously your area that you came from is extremely different than my experience here up north. We're a bit, especially my area that I'm in, we're kind of limited. It's a different dynamic here. We don't have a lot of different flavors. There's kind of one flavor. But for somebody that's in like a place like San Diego, did you notice, like, if you were hanging out with a club last year, the year before, whatever the case may be, and suddenly, they were looked at to become part of a bigger 1% club or something like that. Did they stay humble? Did they stay approachable? Did they get attitudes? Did they stay cool? Did they become dickheads? Did you see that kind of shit in San Diego? Or I guess anywhere you've been?
So I know of 2 full patch overs. Because even there in that fucking huge melting pot, like that's not a common thing, right? Like I said, I know of 2 patch overs, and then both of those clubs that were patched over, there wasn't a whole lot of attitude. There wasn't, and they both, in a sense, were stepping up from like a mom and pop to a larger support club, and then one from a really large independent club to a 1% club. Everybody kind of kept their, it was a level head thing. It was, you have to get over your own ego when you're looking at somebody, be like, man, I don't think you rate that, but then you also don't know the kind of work that they put in to earn that with their brothers.
But you felt like when you ran into them, after they had patched over or earned that full patch status for the new club, they were still the same dudes that you were running with previously. If you bumped into, if you had a beer with them in a bar or something like that, same cats.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll kind of fucking throw it out there. I mean, you guys already know, my former club. I'm not gonna get into much there, but my former club is now a support club for a larger nation. And even though they have, in a sense, stepped up, they're part of a nation now. They're still the same dudes. They don't run around and be like, oh well, do you know who the fuck I'm with or nothing like that, man. They're the same dudes. That still call me just to say what's up. Still got nothing but love and respect for them.
You had a good group of guys, because a lot of guys are not. I won't say a lot. But there's been quite a few clubs that they don't. They're not like that. There's a lot of them. They forget where the fuck they came from.
Yeah.
And who they are due to a patch on their back.
100%.
So I know we don't want to discuss who they are, but I commend them. That's respectable.
Now, for somebody in your position, Silent, like being in that dominant club, regardless of the high kind of leadership position too that you hold, if I'm in a smaller club, I'm in a support club, I'm coming to your events, I'm doing your runs with you, I'm riding around with you guys, like when you're thinking, hey, that dude might have what it takes to be a brother or step up, what kind of criteria are you kind of measuring them against, or what are you trying to see, without telling them, like what are you kind of like mentally going through a checklist in your head on?
Well, it's pretty much the same checklist that you would go off of for somebody that was coming off the street, somebody that was supporting. It's just you can check some of the stuff off because like us anyway. If he's in one of our support clubs, I know he can ride.
Do you have higher expectations for him than you would maybe somebody off the street or something like that?
Oh yeah, because they already know the way we operate, as a support club. And you got to remember, there's support club, and then there's clubs that support. So it's two different now. Now what we're addressing is the support club.
Yeah.
So they already know how we operate. They already know our history. They know most of our traditions, that we allow you to see. They know how the internals somewhat work if they're around us enough. Not like trade secrets and shit, but just the bare basics of hosting events and shit like that. And of course, being in a club already, they know how to work security and fucking take the trash out and work the bars, and those are things you can pretty much just take off the checklist when you're dealing with a support club guy. What you really have to look at is how he conducts himself as a club member, even in his own club. Is he that guy that's shit faced drunk every night? Is he that guy that wrecks 10 bikes a fucking year? Those are the things you start looking at. How's his family life? Does he have a job? You start looking more at the personal side of him, because you already know he can do the club side. Maybe not to the level of what you want, but a lot of times you can teach them. So that's kind of a hard question to answer.
Yeah. I mean, do you think like, is there a way to tell if a guy that, is already in a direct support club, he's going to get that ego or that inflation from becoming a part of the larger brotherhood on his old guys? Is that something you guys have dealt with, have seen? Is there a way to check, is there a way people that are, can check for that?
You can usually see it within their own club. If he's a member and he gets brought in to be the president, for example, you can usually tell right then. If he gets an ego trip from that, then you definitely are not trying to put a diamond on him without humbling him first. Those are telltale signs that you need to be watching for while he's in that support club. If you do decide to take a chance on him, then you need to watch for him as a probate. Because what a lot of people really don't understand is as a probate, he can still tell that 99% president to shut the fuck up and sit down. That's how we operate. I don't know if anybody else does out there in this world, but that's the way it's supposed to be. So you watch him as a probate, see if he does start taking advantage of the fact that now he's a probate for a 1% club and the guys he was with are 99 percenters. So you got to really start evaluating them, and you can't do that if you're sitting at the bar drinking and he's out on the gate, fucking with people.
What do you got, Ken?
None. I'm just sitting here learning at this point. That was beautiful.
Well, it's truth, it's truth.
Yeah, I mean, I think that last bit there, that goes for anybody. I don't think it just applies to the 1% world, and obviously it holds a little more. It holds a little more weight there, but I think everybody should be, from the highest dude in your region should know the probate. Depending on what your regions look like, right? Some regions are fucking huge, some are not so much, but no, at least everybody in your county should know every probate in the county or prospect in the county, because that's somebody that might cause you problems in the future.
Yep.
That you should know about. And maybe, if I brought somebody in that I've known my entire life, and this is Dave's first time meeting him, I'm probably gonna be like willfully ignorant on some of the, just like, oh man, don't worry, that's just Billy, where that could be a very serious fucking issue, and it's not, oh, it's just Billy, he needs to not be in his fucking club.
We've obviously touched on it before and stuff like that, like social media. I know we've talked about it in other podcasts, like us, we're careful on what we say, and it's not because we're scared of anything. It's because we want to do it correctly. We want to be respectful. So when we do give instances or we give examples or we talk about stuff, like we want to make sure that we're sharing stuff that other people might learn from, benefit from, find interesting like we do, but we also want to make sure that it's not going to diminish how the respect that other people have for us. And I think people can say what they want, but I 100% care about what people think about myself. Like, your reputation is all you have, and so I want to make sure that we conduct it with respect, that we guard that shit, with our, with as much as we can. And, I mean, still, it's social media and stuff like that. People can take shit however they want, but I think Silent's 100% correct. Like, you have to think about what you're putting out there, because you never know what the ramifications can be. And that's something that I take, very seriously.
3 hours later.
I know that obviously I don't want to speak on something that has to do with your business, but like, in previous podcasts, we've talked specifically about him, and some of the issues that we've had from other writers that wear diamonds and stuff like that, or other people that have interacted with him. Is his the way that he says that, if you want to wear a diamond, wear it. Like, that's not something that we made up because we have some sort of animosity towards him or some kind of like retarded ass social media jealousy. Like, look, man, I can go back and reference it would take me a fucking long ass time to go through all his, but he's literally advocated for that. If somebody tells you not to wear a diamond, they're the asshole, versus you, who didn't follow protocol, who put a diamond on. Like that's what you said. And so that's
also the same guy that says if somebody says that you have to ride a motorcycle to be in a motorcycle club, you just need a pit bull.
Yeah, and he made some videos before where he's like on a Honda 650 or some shit, and he's trying to tell you how to live a 1%er lifestyle, and he never. I don't know. I didn't like what I saw. I didn't like the kind of information that he was putting out. He had as silly as it is, he'd had verbal clashes before with other people that we cared about on the page. I've never liked the guy. Never respected him. If another person in a large nation that I respect wants to talk to him, that's fine. Hopefully he does get something out of that, but I don't know. That's just me.
So
and his page and stuff like that. He's had his brothers on there. I'll tell you, one of his bros that does a podcast or did a podcast, and I'll say I'm a little bit jealous. They have some very good editing and videotronics on it looks very professional. But one of the things I noticed while I was jealously checking out this podcast was his need to name drop his name. He had another 1%er on his show, and it baffles me that legit 1%ers are giving them the time of day, but that's not my business. But he had one on his show, and within the first couple minutes, he talked about kind of like what you said. And now this is a completely different person, just part of the same group as Milkman or whatever. Hey man, thank you so much for the hospitality your bros show me. Oh man, every time I've come down to the clubhouse, it's been great, and this and that. Like that's cool if they do that for you, and you get education from that. But if you have to drop that in the first 2 minutes of somebody talk, like I find that that's not genuine. Like I think that you're full of shit then, and you're putting on airs for you want to make an impression that look who invites me to their house, look who talks to me, and maybe it's the case is they just tolerate you. I don't know, but if you have to start a conversation or start a show with, hey man, I was hanging out at so and so's house and they're great. For the most part, if you listen to our podcast, we don't drop names. When you say, this club or that, or, my old club we don't even talk about the clubs that we're in by name for the most part. Like to me, there's just a difference in how you should do things and how they do things.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Man, I wonder if that's like a humility thing too. Like we want you to take us for who we are, not what we are.
Yeah, and I would say that's if somebody said, you have such a different platform of clubs at Four for the Road, you have a different platform of dudes. Like, what's that kind of like? If you had to pick, you'd only pick one trait. I think everybody here is humble. They have humility, and maybe if you say that, then you don't. But I feel like look at the people. We have people that are national officers. We have people that are on COCs, that are on different boards. We have people that are in large 1% clubs, all this stuff, and every one of them is approachable. Every one of them has never had an attitude unless you did something stupid, and I think that speaks volumes about the people. So I don't know, it's just something I noticed from when they do something that I just didn't like.
Right.
Hey, see, constructive criticism. We're helping fucking everybody out here.
His next post better be about how much Four for the Road helped him out.
It's all right. I almost got that fucking nerd that you and I hate, especially, to fucking name drop us on his shit, because he was talking about how there's a lot of different flavors of fucking protocol pages out there, but you know where to get the right information at. So I asked him, I was like, name top 3 pages that you fucking hate, man. Where's it at? He's just like, no. I almost wanted to reply back, be like, dude, come on, we know you don't ride your bike. It's not like you're in any real danger if you name drop. It's okay.
Yeah.
But
anyway, I guess that's a good stopping point, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
You want to
do our outro?
Well, I'm gonna ask Silent if he has any parting words for our listeners tonight.
No, actually, I don't. I do want to apologize for not being very active on the page. To y'all, the other writers, the listeners. Behind the scenes, I mean, y'all know I have a very chaotic life, both personal and work and club. And it's been, it's been just getting the better of my personal time. My personal time is getting smaller and smaller, and it's easier for me to sit down and do a podcast with y'all for an hour, than to try to get 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes every day in or something trying to write.
Well, you don't have to put that much effort into it. I put out bullshit every day, and everybody likes it. So.
Well, again, I apologize. I just things are chaotic, and hopefully, when things slow down, if they ever slow down, I could be a little more active on the page. But I agree with Andar. Humility plays a huge role in this lifestyle, regardless of where you are. I've met some motorcycle ministry guys. Um, uh, that will fucking knock your damn block off. You don't have to be a one percenter to be a man. You know, um, treat each other with respect and give respect and educate and be open to being educated. And just try to do better. Try to do better. That's really the biggest thing. No matter what you're doing, try to do better.
Hell yeah. Well, Dad, we appreciate your time.
Anytime.
Dave, you got anything for the guys before we go?
No, next episode is number 50, huh?
Yeah, number 50. I'm working on something, but no guarantees.
Right? We'll have to put some feelers out there and see what we can come up with. If we can do something special for 50 or whatnot.
And maybe we can get Drifter on a show for the 50th episode. Oh, shots fired, Jim. So, hey, we, Silent, thank you so much for spending time with us tonight. And, you guys at home, we appreciate all the love and support, listening. We had one guy say that he listened to our last episode like 4 or 5 times the same day. We really appreciate that. We love the feedback. Tell us when we start to suck, guys, or if we have sucked, tell us where we suck so we can fix it, except for the audio. There ain't shit we can do for that. We've already had donations, and I think it's just our machines that we're using. But yeah, once again, thanks for the love and support,
also,
guys. And
for those that are on the Instagram, if you're not on the Instagram, and you just follow us on Facebook, come on, go like the fucking Instagram page. I think we talked about it last time. I feel like sometimes our page gets less love than some of the other ones because there's a lot of stuff that we can't put on the page because it's related stuff, and that would be a fucking headache to try and see what was postable and what wasn't. So I think that's sometimes why our Instagram stuff is a little bit lower than the Facebook page, but and obviously the interactions, the what you post is smaller and stuff like that. But if you're not following the Instagram page, do us a favor and do it. Same with the YouTube channel. Like, I don't care if you don't stream it. I want to get one of those plaques that YouTube will like mail you if you get enough subscribers. All right. And then so also on the Instagram page, we have we'll post up different stuff, history articles, different pictures of motorcycles, half naked girls. We do that on Instagram too, so check it out. Especially Miss Tori, if she needs a dad bod, I'm still here for her. All she's got to do is let me know.
Hey, if she needs a fucking part-time baby daddy, let me know.
Now we can end it.
I'm fucking there. And hey, don't fucking use this bullshit excuse of, I don't have an Instagram. If Silent One Percenter has an Instagram, and he grew up when the world was in black and white, so if he's got an Instagram, I know you do, motherfuckers. What you got, Dad? You got one more thing to say?
Well, I was gonna say, remember on Facebook too. We're not posting 8 pictures of chicks every day, and we're not bashing clubs and that type of bullshit. I mean, we're trying to stick real. When I say we, I really mean y'all. We're trying to stick real to what's really fucking happening in the world and how to be a better person and a better brother, and better your clubs, So, yeah, we don't have the reviews that some of these other clubs have, but our page is fucking real.
And the reach is crazy. Like, I mean, obviously, Punk Rock and I, we love talking to Cody up in Canada. We had dudes that just hit us up on the Instagram in New Zealand. We had one dude in Germany that wants to translate articles for us into German. So I mean, that's kind of the coolest thing that I love about this is just that people from we have one of the Silence brothers that follows the page from England, right?
Well, you got my brothers follow from England, from Germany, from Australia, from New Zealand. Yeah, we got them
Yeah.
all.
So I mean, what's cool to me. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and that's Barry.
So, what's up, Barry? Thank you. Hey, I'm just gonna do another outro because this is all shit that I want to keep in there.
Don't even edit this. Just let people listen to us do 2 outros.
Yeah, but what if they like just stop listening? Like, what if they just hit pause or stop at the first intro? Then they miss all this cool shit.
Then they miss it. It's like a bonus content on a DVD.
Well, they'll
Okay,
see.
then.
Well, I mean, when they'll see the number still counting down, they'll be like,
Yeah.
"Well, it ain't fucking."
Yeah, fuck them, I guess.
And the dad bod comments still count. So
Yeah, Tori, what's up? You ever been made airtight before?